Starting with this video, it shows how life can change in an instant. You see two men go after a woman waiting in a car. Good afternoon, I'm Lynn Cannon.
And I'm Mia Gradney. Police say she was shot and killed in an attempted carjacking. This happened at a gas station on Bissonnette near Leawood late last night. Matt Doherty is there live.
And Matt, what do we know about the investigation right now?
Well, we know that it happened just over there at pump number 3. The men who were with the woman had stepped inside for just a second, but that was all the time it took.
When I pulled in the parking lot, I heard the gunshot and I took out.
This eyewitness, who didn't want to be identified, recounts his story for detectives. He pulled up just as it was happening, heard the gunshot.
I only heard one, and that's all it takes for me, just one gunshot. I don't need to be around.
After that, he says the suspects got on their bikes and took off.
Yeah, they took out quick, but I took out quick too, because I had to get away. Because hey, after one gunshot, it might be 2 or 3, and I ain't trying to get hit by nobody.
Inside the Valero, the moments before, during, and after the murder at pump number 3 are caught on video. Footage from the exterior cameras show it took less than 30 seconds from the time the men on the bicycles pulled up to the BMW, open the doors, get inside, and then they're gone. Soon after that, while the woman's boyfriend and his uncle are still inside the store, someone sees that something's wrong. The clerk and one of the men rush outside, but she'd already been shot. Witnesses say the killers were already long gone. Police have identified the woman as 30-year-old KHOU Price. Of course, we're going to continue to stay on this story, bring you updates in our later newscasts as well as online on KHOU.com. But for now, we're live in Southwest Houston. Standing for Houston, Matt Doherty, KHOU 11 News.
So tragic, only 30 years old. Matt, thank you. Hopefully they will find the guys on the bikes very soon.
Now this, a Southeast Houston family that survived Harvey is once again dealing with a mess. There is sewage water inside their home. The city is taking the blame for the terribly nasty stuff that backed up into the house. Adam Bennett is there on Arvana Street. Adam, what is being done to fix this?
Well, Mia, a Public Works spokesperson told me that this family can stay in a hotel as long as they need to while these crews fix the inside of the home and clean it. And she says the city will pick up the tab for that. She also adds that her entire staff feels absolutely horrible about what happened to this family. Fair warning, some of this video that we're going to show you inside this house is pretty stomach-turning. This was from earlier this morning. The smell was so nauseating, you had to either wear a mask or breathe through your mouth to avoid getting sick. Peter Fan lives in that home. He tells me the sewage backup ruined most of his furniture, electronics, and other belongings. He tells me it all started around 9 last night.
Started hearing water gurgling, and then pretty much ran to the restroom, saw the restroom looking like a fountain, and then after that we ran back outside, saw the city workers working, asked them to stop, they stopped, and then came back inside to pretty much a flooded house.
Now, Alana Reed, a spokesperson with Public Works, tells me crews were cleaning the blockage last night, and there was so much pressure built up inside that sewer line, it actually pushed the sewage back into Fan's home, and that's how all of this happened. Today, a supervisor with Public Works on scene told me that his crews were also vacuuming out sewage from his neighbor's backyard, from Fan's neighbor's backyard, but he says the main sewer line is now clear. Now, Reed told me the biggest cause of these backups by far is grease buildup inside of those sewer lines, and she tells me they really see a lot of it after holiday weekends and especially after big events like the Super Bowl. Mia?
Isn't that interesting? So Adam, how common are these types of sewage backups into homes?
Well, thankfully, Reed tells me they're actually quite rare. The last reported one they had before yesterday was last March. But get this, she tells me that yesterday they also had another report of almost the exact same thing over in the Meyerland area. But she doesn't think that Harvey debris had anything to do with that, because she tells me that most of that has already been flushed out of the system since the storm several months ago. Mia?
You know, just one time is one time too much for homeowners. Thanks so much, Adam.
Yeah, the sewage line is clear, but the house is not. Well, on the same launch pad in Florida used to send man to the moon, the world's most powerful rocket soared into space today with an ambitious goal.
3, 2, 1.
Quite a sight. That is the Falcon Heavy lifting off from Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral this afternoon. A big test for Elon Musk and his team. This rocket expected to orbit the sun. They hope the rocket could one day send people to the moon and Mars. As a little added flair, the cargo on this rocket happens to be Elon Musk's personal cherry red Tesla Roadster. How about that? And it's got a mannequin in the driver's seat. Musk is live streaming the view from inside the car. That's quite a feat.
That's must-see TV.
That is. If anybody knows how to do that, it's Elon Musk. Remember the false alarm for that missile attack in Hawaii? Well, today it was Houstonians' turn to freak out when a tsunami warning flashed on their phones.
And once again, it was all a mistake, and the National Weather Service is looking into exactly how this happened. Experts say a tsunami here is unlikely, but not out of the question.
So our Jason Miles joins us. Jason, unlikely or not, I'm sure some folks were a little panicked today.
To say the least, Lynn, I'm told another Harvey, a flood, is far more likely than a tsunami. Of course, neither is welcome. The threat this morning of the latter did have many people worried. Push alert, panic.
We never get tsunami warnings.
Houstonian Jason Lopez had one this morning on his way to work.
And it was telling me that there was a tsunami coming, a warning.
And you thought about turning around?
I was going to stop and go turn around and get my family and, and warn everybody, hey, there's a tsunami coming in here.
Lopez and everyone else who got this alert soon learned it was not legitimate.
There is currently no tsunami threat.
The National Weather Service issued clarifications via social media and a recorded message on its hotline, blaming AccuWeather for misinterpreting a routine tsunami test.
The tsunami test message was released by at least one private sector weather company as an official tsunami warning.
There is a risk of tsunamis in the Gulf of Mexico, but it is low.
University of Houston geology professor Paul Mann.
So there it is, triggered, and it's going to spread out.
Says an underwater landslide caused the last big tsunami here some 7,000 years ago, sending a massive wave of water toward the Texas coast.
A tsunami can move about the speed of a jet aircraft, so about 600 miles per hour. So we would feel it pretty quickly if it were to happen.
Get out of Dodge.
Barely enough time for people like Lopez to prepare.
I'm not sure how they run their business, who sends out these alarms.
If the next warning is actually for real. And as Lynn mentioned, this made many people think about that recent warning in Hawaii about an impending missile strike that fortunately turned out to be a mistake. In this case, AccuWeather, the company, now acknowledges the word test was on the National Weather Service warning this morning, but said the Weather Service miscoded the test, so we're getting a lot of back and forth at this hour, guys.
It's the old oops. Thanks. This false alarm had people tweeting today, some a little scared, others in disbelief. Many cracked jokes, though, at the expense of the worker who was fired for sending the missile alert in Hawaii, saying he had to be involved in this alert somehow.
Oh, my. So a gloomy, muggy mess best sums up today's weather. The drive home likely not going to be the nicest.
Which means David Paul is still in the doghouse. Hi, David.
Well, I tell you what, Len, misery loves company, right? So at least, it's not just we here in Houston who are getting wet. It's also folks in Lufkin and Waco and Dallas. Actually, they may see a thunderstorm in Dallas. See the pink north of Dallas? That's a little bit of freezing drizzle falling near Denton and north of that, so travel's impacted there. Here, travel is impacted by wet roads, so if you're waiting on mom and dad to get home from work, they may be a little late coming home because roads are moving slow as that truck in front of you is spraying the windshield and the wipers are going. And then there's this. Cold air is surging south into Texas. While we're at 73, it's 37 in Dallas. So here's what's about to happen. Big changes. Much colder overnight, and by morning, the kids will need coats and umbrellas at the bus stop. And coffee and hot cocoa are back on the menu. We'll talk about the weekend forecast and another cold front coming when I see you again in a few minutes.
Chill in the air again. All right, David.